Hi, I welcome you once more again to my channel. Today we are going to solve this quadratic function. What we did last time, the only difference here is that x squared has a coefficient which is more than 1. When the coefficient is more than 1, the method that we did use does not work. So here we have to change it a little bit for it to work. So we are still using that idea. You look at the constant. The constant is -6. We are using this V down method. We are going to look for two numbers. Two numbers we multiply. This time around we have to write 2x here and x here, so that when we multiply the numbers, it have to add up to give us the 1x here. Here is x. That means 1x have to be there, the coefficient. Okay? And then before you do that, you go ahead and you split your quadratic component into two parentheses. Where are we going to get that two numbers from? It's going to come from here, the multiples. What are the two numbers we multiply to give you -6? So go ahead and then just list the factors of 6. So 6 and 1, 2 and 3. Since the constant is negative, one of the factors have to be negative. But we don't know which one we are going to use. So what you're doing is that guess and check better. This is the number that we can manipulate to get that one. So you can say, okay, this 2 here and 3 here. One of them have to be negative. So let's say this is negative. What we're going to do is that we multiply this to that. And then we multiply this across. And when we add, we have to get x. So here you multiply this, you're going to get -6x. And then plus 2x, which is no near closer to even as a x. So that will not work. So what we could do is that we say, okay, let's make this positive and make this negative. So here will give us 6x, and here will give us -2x. Which one is also giving us 4x, so it doesn't work. That means we have to swap the number. So let's put 3 here, let's put 2 here. I mean, when we have a number here, it's kind of really hard. That's the reason why we have a lot of method of solving it, which is the quadratic formula, completing the squares. But here we want to stick with the factoring, so we are going to swap it until we get the right one here. Remember, one of them have to be negative. So here, if we multiply, we are going to get 4x, and here, so this one have to be negative, and that will work. -3x, we multiply this to that, and that will give us the x that we are looking for. These numbers will work, but when you're putting it right here, we gotta be careful. Since we multiply this to this, remember the FOIL. How do we get the middle number? Is the outer and the inner. So it's the outer and the inner. So that 2 have to be here. The +2 have to be here, and this, the -3 have to be here, so that when we multiply it that way, okay, is this last here, the first and the last here, and then the inner. So that will be that, and then it's equals to 0. So now we have able to get a factor. So this is the right factors. So this is the factored form. Now we want to, the question was say solve, so we want the solution. So we are going to set each of them equals to 0. So 2x minus 3 equals to 0. That will be implies that the 3 will come here. So 2x is equals to 3. And then finally it implies that x is equals to, we divide both sides by that, and the x is equals to 3/2. Which is improper fraction, but under quadratic is okay. And then the other one, the second one, x plus 2 equals to 0, implies that x is equals to negative. So now here the zeros are the -2 and 3/2. So that's the one method that we can use. This is a factoring method. There is another method that we call the fastest. Some people call it the Amazon factoring method. So let's consider that one. If we want to use that one, the equation is 2x squared plus x minus x equals to 0. What we do is that we multiply the coefficient of the x squared by the constant, and that will give us negative 12. So you list that one in there. You're going to look for two numbers. You multiply, you get negative 12, and when you add, you have to get 1. Before you do that, you have set your two brackets, parentheses here. You're waiting for that two numbers. So two numbers, you multiply, you get 12, or negative 12 is 4 and 3, 2 and 6, and 1 and 3. But we need 1, so the one that will work is going to be 4 and 3. Now, since it's negative, one of them will have to be negative, which have to be this. So here you put negative 3 here, and you put plus 4 here. You're not done. This method, since we multiply the 2, you have to divide the numbers by 2. And it always works. So you divide this, and when you divide, see if you can simplify. Here we can simplify that. Now this one we can't simplify, so we will leave this as x minus 3 over 2, and then x plus 2 equals to 0. When you're factoring, we don't keep a fraction, so this one is dividing, so you're going to multiply this first bracket by 2. So what is going to happen is that you multiply this to that, you will get 2x, and here you multiply this by 2, the 2 will go away, so you will get this. This one is already in the whole number, so you don't do nothing with it, and then that. And you see that what we got here is the same thing that we got here. So therefore here the solution for the zeros will be x is equals to 3 over 2, and x is equals to negative 2. Then the next method is what we call the grouping, factoring by grouping. So we have our question to x squared plus x minus 6 equals to 0. All that we have to do is that you have to multiply this by this, and that give you negative 12. We know that. We're going to look for the factors, which we said is 6 and 2, 1 and 12, and 3 and 4. Remember, since the number is negative, one of the number have to be negative in such a way that when you add, you have to get this x back. So we can use this one. So we are using 4 and 3. And when it comes to the grouping, you're going to replace this one with that. So let me go ahead and do the next. So here it implies that when you write this 2x, you don't do nothing with it. And here you're going to replace it with plus 4x minus 3x minus 6. You see that you have replaced this x with that. You haven't done nothing wrong. It's still x. From here, you're going to do what we call the grouping. So you're going to group it 2, 2, and then you look for the factors. So here you look at this 2 and you say what is common. 2 is common and x is common. So you take 2x out. What is left is just one number will multiply to get this 2x squared back is just going to be x. You bring your plus, one number will multiply is just going to be 2. You get, if you multiply, you will get this one back. Here, each of them have negative, so you bring negative. 3 can go into 6, so 3 out. What is left is that you have taken the negative 3 out, so x is here. One number multiplied by negative 3 will give you back the negative 6 is plus 2. Okay, so you realize that inside the parenthesis or the bracket is the same. So all that you do, you just write a coefficient. Coefficients are the number in front. You write a coefficient in one bracket or in one parenthesis, and then you just write one, because it's just repeated twice. You just write one of it, which is x plus 2. Remember, all this y was equals to 0. And you see, you get that back, and if you want to solve it, you solve it, you get the same solution. So these are the 3 ways of the factoring method. If you still want to stick with the factoring, these are the 3 ways that you can able to do. You can't get it anywhere. It's only in this channel that we will break down and give you all the alternative method, which all is acceptable. So please go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give me the thumbs up, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.